A day after Japanese officials reported progress towards regaining control of the Fukushima nuclear plant, smoke has been seen rising from 2 of its reactors. It is not clear how serious the incidents are, but earlier some workers were evacuated from the plant. The number killed in the quake and subsequent tsunami is now expected to exceed 18,000. The town of Rikuzen Takata is an area that took the full force of the tsunami. Most of the children were in school when it hit. They survived, but many of their parents and relatives are missing. Damien Grammaticus now with his report.
When the sea has taken all you know, how do you comprehend it? Every landmark obliterated. So even finding where his home stood isn't easy for 12-year-old Takuma Wagazugi. This is the first time he's been back, but at house number 3 on his street, there's just a void.
My desk was up there, my bed was over here, and this is where my bookshelf was.
This is all his sister 10-year-old Sayaka found, her school bag. She used it for trips to the beach with her father.
Because we live near the sea, I could play there. I would go with Dad. It was fun. When the tsunami came, it was scary, but I like living by the sea.
Her father is missing. He was a rescue worker directing people to safety while his wife and children fled. 500 bodies have been found here so far, but not his. When the tsunami struck at 2:45 that Friday, most of the adults were here in the middle of town. This is a place of 26,000 people. It's hard to believe it now, but you have to imagine shops and offices, supermarkets and restaurants all busy. The children, well, they were in schools, and those are built on higher ground to protect them from tsunamis. So most of them survived. The high school, their place of refuge, is now full of children who are grieving. And for Takuma and Sayaka, it's become their temporary home.
I wish more people were searching for the missing. I hope we'll find Dad alive and well soon. He's a very important member of my family, and I love him a lot.
In the mud and debris, Sayaka discovered something else. A photo of their father. He was a very good man, her mother says, describing him as the pillar of our family. She went to the morgue today, but still couldn't find his body. Damien Grammaticus, BBC News, Rikuzen Takata.
Tanks are reported to have taken up positions in key locations in the Yemeni capital, Sana'a. This follows the announcement by a string of army officers that they support pro-democracy demonstrators who want the president to step down. Here's Humphrey Hawksley.
Cheering in the Yemeni capital, Sana'a. After weeks of demonstrations, there's a celebratory atmosphere. Support for President Salah is ebbing away. The fall of the government in Yemen will be just like what happened in Egypt, he says. Over the weeks, officials and tribal leaders have been joining these crowds. Now several military officers have come into the square to publicly show their support.
I announce my joining of the Youth's Revolution in order to bring down the corrupt dictatorial regime.
We will finish the revolution, God willing, for Yemen and its noble demands.
The killings on Friday of more than 50 protesters has upped the stakes. For many, that crossed a line to the unacceptable. Soldiers have taken up positions across the city, at the presidential palace and the other government buildings, but it wasn't certain what their orders were, although their general was calling on President Salah to avoid more violence and step down.
On behalf of officers and commanders in the armed forces, I declare our peaceful support of the youth revolution and their demands that we will fulfill our duties in maintaining security and stability in the capital and other cities.
But a differing voice from behind another big office desk, the Defence Minister Mohammed Nasser Ahmed, pledging his support for the beleaguered president. Yemen is one of the poorest countries in the Arab world, with almost half its 24 million people living below the poverty line. Much is remote and many communities are out of government control. Al-Qaeda operates from here, and American officials have described Yemen as being close to a failed state. Here is an American ally and a dictatorship whose failure to win the trust of its people has now spilt onto the streets, with an impact that could reach far beyond Yemen itself. Humphrey Hawksley, BBC News.
And if you want more on all our top stories, not least Libya, of course, do check out our website. You can see all the key locations on our map and get the latest reports from our correspondents and our teams across the region, bbc.com/news. Up next on this channel, in this order, the weather, the headlines, then World Business Report. Always good to hear from you as well. Do send us an email if you feel like it. Right now, the weather forecast.